Okay, good afternoon. Let's go ahead and get started. Welcome to our latest CA Workload Automation Community Lunch and Learn webcast. My name is Len Thompson, and I'm the Community Manager for the Workload Automation community. Before I hand you off to Gene and Todd, just a quick reminder that since most of you are listening to this session via the WebEx broadcast rather than the phone, please use the Q&A box right in the WebEx to ask any questions you have along the way. If you don't see that box in the lower right of your screen, just click on the question mark icon in the upper right and it will open for you. If you are on the phone line, I ask that you please stay on mute while we're recording the session so I can post it later, and I'd like to keep it as clean as possible. So with that out of the way, I'll hand you over to Jean, who's going to introduce herself as well as our speaker today. Take it away, Jean.
Thanks much, Len. Hi, everybody. Welcome to this presentation on UPS enables organizational efficiencies through the use of CA workload automation. As Len said, I'm Jean Rissmiller. I'm product marketing for workload automation here at CA Technologies. And we're just so pleased to welcome our speaker, Todd Randall, who is the Production Workload Automation Manager at UPS. Todd was one of our guest speakers at CA World last November and gave a very interesting topic and presentation. It was so well attended and so many people had lively Q&A afterwards that we felt this would be a very good presentation for Todd to give to those of you who weren't able to attend CA World. So Todd, we're going to make copies of the presentation available on the CA Workload Automation Community's website just right after this presentation. But in the meantime, I'll turn it over to you so you can get started.
Thank you, Jean, and Len, thank you as well. We're privileged to have the opportunity to speak at CA World back in November, and we wanted to share with the community what we're doing to drive down production job failures and also make efficient uses of our various processes to make sure our business flourishes because of what we do. A little about me first. I've been in UPS back in 2016, we said 25 years, but now I'm 26. I grew up a year in just a few months. But over the years, I've been around the block. And the thing I say about being around the block is from a lot of you can speak to the same thing. Throughout your careers, every stop you make, you learn a little bit, and you apply it to what's coming next in your career. I've done that over 25 years, now I'm 26, where I've learned every area I went. I can say today I'm a better manager today than I was 10 years ago, but it's due to my experiences and my partnerships with the various vendors we work with. We had some highlights in 2014 and 2015 where we processed over 5,000 changes to our production schedules. But also we've implemented some upgrades as well in our time frame, which have benefited the company. And that's our goal. What we do with the workload automation, for all of you who are responsible for various areas as well, we take what we learn, we grow from it, and we make our business better, because if we're not in this business to make it better, we're in it for the wrong reason. About my group. We are a 24/7 operation. We maintain automated multi-platform batch environments, and also we're a centralized scheduler, and also it says change management, but we're more of a release management atmosphere that we manage here. The environment is secure, and we are responsible for keeping the environment as up-to-date as possible. And that's another goal of ours, is to make sure that whatever we're running, whatever system we're running, is at the latest release level to ensure all the efficiencies are there for our processes. And here's a roadmap what we're going to talk about today. And I promise you it won't be that long, but if you have questions, we will address the questions. Today I'm going to talk about the workload environment. I'm going to lift the curtain on UPS's environment for you. So we look at how we're set up. We look at the UPS Production Workload Automation team, who we are, what we've done. We'll break down the construct. What is production workload automation? And then we'll look at our process models, what drives us. And then we're going to talk about the workload automation ESP advantage, There's advantages for having an ESP in your shop. If you have it, you understand. If you don't have it, you should get it. And then finally, the workload automation, what's on our horizon? What's coming for us? So our environment, we maintain a dual data center, multi-platform environment. We are, and on the slide you'll see that currently we're 85% mainframe and 15% distributed, but we see that as a growth opportunity. As we get to more of a DevOps mind frame, let the business drive the process. It's necessary for us to see where the business is going and the trends, but also ways, cost reduction, because the mainframe is expensive. So we're looking in 2017 to drive the distributed platform even more than we've done in the past, but also looking on the horizon as well, there's more to come. There's opportunities out there for us to make the environment better. We have 27 LPARs, 27 across the 2 platforms. Also in our environment, we have our process goes, you have to test before you go to production. Now I'm pretty sure that all of you have the same thing in mind. Before you put anything in production, you have to make sure that it smoothly transitions from testing to validation to approval to production implementation. It's a process. We have our own test environment. We have a test environment from our users. And we also have, again, our production environment. We have a standalone production environment and also the environment that has the various LPARs as well. And we have, it's a robust environment. And I'm learning to click these things as we go along. So let's look at production workload automation. We talked about driving job failure rates. That's what we've been doing over the years. Year over year, we see the increased processing numbers, and the numbers are astronomical. In 2016, we processed over 170 million jobs through ESP. But as you see also on this, we've been going down in our bin numbers. The job failures have decreased because we've paid more attention to the process. At the same time, our head count has stayed the same. We didn't increase as the workload increased. We didn't increase our head count. We stayed at a solid 15 over those same years. The reason being, when you pay more attention and get involved in your process and get your customers involved, you have more of a synergy when you work up your process than people working in silos. That's the difference maker in your environments when you engage the customer, get them involved in the process. As we get on along in this presentation, we'll talk more about customer engagement, which is important. Anyone who runs work through our scheduler is a customer of mine at various levels. So that's key here, is engaging people to make sure they understand what's needed. That helped us drive down the bends. That's a big part of what we did. Some of the initiatives we pushed through. What it does when you push through these production type initiatives, it allows workforce to be utilized in other areas. We took the automated failed job restarts. Job fails, we read through the job documentation and ensure that the only instruction they have is restart the job from the beginning. So we took that out of the hands of our operators who monitor the system, and what we do now is it attempts to restart the job itself. We give it 3 solid tries. And on average, we've had, over the year that we had this in place, 300 less manual restarts per month. So that's freeing up a resource or 2 to do other work. Automated force completes. When a job fails, no other instruction but to complete the job, let the process continue. We also set up an automated process for that as well. What that does, what it did for us, the result of what we saw was an average of 450 less manual force completes per month. So again, we're freeing up resources through automation, using the ESP product to control what's happening out there on the system. Also, we have something we call this one's not new, it's been around for a while, but we enhanced it this past year. with the ESP Smart Job. We call them Smart Jobs because it's out there looking at your critical processes and alerting you if they run long, if a critical process has failed, monitoring the critical path. If the job fails, it allows you to start the remediation process as soon as possible instead of monitoring through, because our queue could be rather large because we process so many jobs, but we need any help. So it gives, it's a monitoring tool that allows us to know what's going on at all times. We created when we do schedule changes in our environment, a lot of tasks, we were just talking yesterday about this. People think when someone wants a job held or suspended, they call them repeatable tasks because they all want the same thing. Truth of the matter is, there's nothing really repeatable because each process is unique to the application which it supports. But what we created is a process checklist. These are the steps it takes to do each of these things. So it's like quality control for every change to make sure we follow the correct steps to ensure that each process that comes through us to implement, to modify a production process, that we have quality steps and checks. What would it take for us to back out? How will we implement this? We also get sign-off from the customer that we review the simulations for each process with them and walk them through it to make sure they understand what it looked like. Basically, this is what you asked for, this is what we give you. Give us sign-off that it's the same thing. If it's not, we'll work on it, making sure it's the right thing. But quality control is important because you don't want missteps to happen that cause a business impact. Also, and there's a story behind why I added it to the slide, the semi-annual PTF maintenance, twice a year. We're about to go through it in the month of April, and we're going to do it again in the month of October. But PTFs come through fixes that we make sure we apply to our system. Lessons learned years ago, about 3 years ago, we got off schedule, where we were not applying them, not even semi-annually, not even annually. We let them go by. And if you don't take care of your product won't take care of you. And that's the lesson we learned here, that you always, this is our tool. ESP is our tool. It's like your car. You don't take your car in for maintenance, and you're riding along, and your car gives out on you. It's not, and we blame the car. It's not the car. We didn't take care of the car. Make sure the maintenance was on time. That's what we have to do with our system. ESP is a great tool. As we saw, we processed over 170 million jobs. If it was not reliable, we'll be in a lot of hurt. So we have to make sure that our system, our tool, is at its best. The way you do it is make sure you stay on top of your PTFs, your maintenances. What we do in that process, we just did it today. We met with CA, and these are the lists of PTFs that's due to go in. One question is, well, you don't have that particular feature. Do you still apply it? For us, it's yes, because we don't know what's coming next year, or even later this year, that PTFs have a requirement for something that we didn't put on. So we put all of them on. But we review each PTF with CA, and we thank Lucy for that. Lucy is a big help for us as we go through, and we step by step. We have questions about it. We ask the questions up front. The time to question is not after you apply it. The time to question is during your discussions about the PTFs you're about to apply. So it's the synergy between not only your customers and you, but your vendor, the owners of ESP, no matter what version you use. Now we talk about the construct. We're in a unique space here at UPS. While providing high-level support for app dev environments, production workload automation is reliant upon user groups and forums such as this one, and collaborate and share like challenges for proposed solutions. Last year in 2016, we held a user group meeting, much like this one. And John Rooney, we called it the ESP Summit, where we got together. The change in our mindset should come from we realize that all of us have issues and challenges in our environments. Where we veer off to the right or the left is we think we're unique in our issues and challenges because we don't share like we should share. Imagine a world, a ESP world, where we have a forum where we lay our differences aside. I may work for UPS, you may work for Visa, Bank of New York Life, or any other company. But you're having challenges, and I have the solution, but we don't talk. So far as you know, you're alone in this world, and no one understands your problem. But because if we did speak, laying up, whatever we have to sign, non-disclosures, whatever the case may be, but it's about making each of our companies better. Nationwide as well, that's a big partner of ours. We talk nationwide a lot. And it's about putting our differences aside and working for solutions. What challenges do you have? I may have the answer. What challenge I have, you may have the answer. Last year, we got together here at UPS and invited everyone in. We had 44 people, 14 different companies come and talk about the challenges we face. And we worked them out together. And that's, well, leaves an opening. On April 25th, we're going to do it again up at the CA offices in New York, where we come together to look at what's driving our challenges, what's our roadmap down the line. Anybody working with web UIs, data set triggering, file monitoring, let's get together and let's see what challenges you have, because I may have an answer for you, or you may have an answer for me. So these environments is where all of us can grow and feed and bring back value to our companies. That's a shameless plug just now about the user conference. But in my environment, we have people raising their experience from 1 to 20 years experience in the automation field. The key for us is strong vendor relationship. I meet with my CEA contact, Bill Porter. I meet with him officially once a quarter, but there's not a week go by that we don't have a conversation about what's going on in my environment and what's on the CA roadmap. That's another point. We always want to know the vendor's roadmap. Where are you going? Where will you be in 3 to 5 years? We have to be open with our roadmap because there has to be a convergence point where my roadmap and your and the CA roadmap cross paths. And we have to make sure that alignment and that connection does happen, because having the ESP in your environment is great, but you have to be going somewhere. And that's a part of it as well. I have Bill on speed dot. I contact with Mark Slew and Lucy. We have meetings with them constantly. We're doing anything, any move we make, we want to know who else is doing it, who else has done it. Also, from them, any advice, or are we applying it the right way? It's that connection that ensures your success. And I know all of us on this call want to be successful in what we do. And one of our people, Richard Romanowski, in 2016 was selected as a champion because of his relationship in the communities. It's because he contributes. He's a contributor. We're proud of Rick for what he's done and what he's done in the CA communities. But it's taking that knowledge that you learn and contribute and applying it to your workplace. And Rick is a big proponent of that from our perspective, Rick Romanowski. One of the things we also have to do, if you look at my construct, I am basically 4 different groups working together, and I call it production workload automation because we're in the mainframe automation field. It's diverse backgrounds. I mentioned earlier when I introduced myself, when I went over my history, how all the different places I stopped, I learned something, and I grew a little bit. It's that type of backgrounds that we have now. I have people with who have operations experience, people who have from even other companies who were at different levels in management, in the automation field that bring that knowledge here. We don't have people who know Rex. I have people who have been scheduling for over 20 years who can just give them a problem, they'll give you a solution. So it's that combination of the experience you picked up over the years that makes us stronger. And the key part for all of this is staying current with industry trends. That's another point of user group conferences and lunch and learns, is to understand where the industry is going. Because if you don't stay current for a moment, you'll be lingering in the past before you know it. And that's important, to stay current. If I'm moving too fast, let me know. One of the things we do, one of my drivers, I have something called Enable. And it's what I use to drive automation in my space. Enable, this means engage customers early. In this DevOps world that we're all moving to, whether you know it or not, is you need to be involved early in the process. If you're involved late, you're really reacting and you don't have that proactive look to it. We engage our customers early. Get involved. If you want me to give you a solution, let me know what the problem is early so you can give me time to provide you with a solution. That alone has saved us in what we do. For every change, every environment, every process, we want to be involved while you have initial discussions. Don't hand me a change and say, okay, here, do this, because I don't have a chance to give you all the bells and whistles that I can give you through my process, through my CAESP product. Negotiate. There's some give and take in all this, because and many times you'll find yourself explaining what we can do. But first you got to understand what they need. So it's their need versus what we can provide. And so there's some give and take in that discussion, but we have to be knowledgeable of what we can offer. I went to a conference a few years back, and one of the guest speakers was Magic Johnson. I remember that one well. I still have the picture. But one of the things he said is, to be successful, one of the things you have to do is over-deliver. Right? That challenges yourself to give the best you could. And that negotiation process is putting your best foot forward to say, I can fix that for you, I can solve that for you, but it has to come through discussion after you're engaging with the customer and tell them what we can provide for them. I have the solution, but I got to talk to you to give it. Agree upon the development plan. We're not going to take a solution and move it straight into production. And I don't know any company would do that, but there has to be a plan. What's the development plan? What's the testing phase? What's the validation? What's the implementation phase? How are we going to work this through? So we have to agree upon it. And I've learned that if you're confident in what you have and what you're providing, the plan will be easy to build. And the next step is build an executable process. Prove what you said. We're not in the business of selling cars. We're in the business of creating solutions. And build an executable process. We have to build a process. If we tell them we have a process that'll save you time and effort, let's deliver on it. Build an executable process. Test it in your environments, and then deliver it to your customer. Legitimize the process. That's validating the process. Make sure what we say we do, we do. And that's through sign-off and also testing and validation. And finally, we execute the process. After doing steps, after you engage, after you negotiate, after you agree and build and legitimize, now you're ready to move. Take plan to action when you execute the process. It's an aggressive stance, but it's one that if you take it, you'll affect change in your organization. It's worked for us, and it continues to work for us. Also, I call the VIP. It's about vendor relationship. I mentioned throughout this process so far how I have I have CA on speed dial, and I wish I were joking with you. It's true. That is necessary. How can you know we're running well if you don't have the relationship with the vendor to understand when new fixes come in, when there are hyper that comes through, or what's on the horizon? I need more agents to run my distributed work. You got to have that relationship where it's one where they're part of your family. that where we're going, we need them to go there. And anything that's popping up on the horizon for the vendor, the importance that it can bring to me. Again, industry trends, keep an eye on them. Hadoop for us is coming into our world, but we have to be ready for it. Understand what's happening. We talk DevOps and we talk about Agile. All those are possible because it's what's driving companies now. We realize that we can no longer rely on, hey, we'll process on this set time. But the business needs us to be more fluent. Continuous delivery is what we're in the business of, and we need to prepare. What does that mean to me? Does that mean I have to change the way I go about my business? It may. You may be doing it already. DevOps on the mainframe, where's that going? Who do we need? You go and learn and understand about the industry trends and how it can better your business. Because again, all of us on this call, we're here to learn because what we want to do, give the best for our companies, no matter what it is. And we talked about last year after the meeting, our user group meeting, building best practices for what we do. All of us, we're in unique spaces, but we have similar challenges. Let's come together and build best practices on how to handle these situations. Because we can affect change on a massive scale. I have on my board at my desk, I have this thing I keep. Production workload automation just changed the world. We can change the world if we understand that we're not alone in this world. And together we can make that happen. We get together and build best practices for our environment. You process, I process 170 million, you process 15 million. We are dealing with similar challenges and developing best practices how to handle those. We can create continuous victories for all of us. Let's blur the lines and say, hey, we're one global automation community. Working together, we can make the whole process better. My CIO, Juan Perez, he coined this for many of us. Growing up myself, when I was younger, when the UPS driver came to my door, he had a clipboard, and we would sign the clipboard. I'm showing my age at this point, but we moved on. We have dyads, and what Juan told us was they see us as, the world sees us as a delivery company, when all actuality, we're an IT organization that delivers packages. Because behind every dyad board that you sign when the driver comes to your door, for every package using My Choice, ESP, UPS delivery tool that we have, that I'm on vacation in Florida, and my package would normally come to me in New Jersey. Using My Choice, I can divert my package to where I am. We have now UPS lockers where if you're at work and you want the package delivered, it can be delivered to a locker, given a code via email, and you can go get your package from a locker. So we're behind all those tools, our mobile apps that we have, because we can even go from dyads to phones now, where now you get mobile messaging. All that's because we are an IT company disguised as a delivery company. That behind all these tools is automation. ESP processes behind in the background running to ensure that this plane takes off on time. Because if the job doesn't run, the plane doesn't take off. It's behind the scenes where we, all of us, everyone on this call, you make a difference. Your name is not on up in lights, but you make your companies go. And that's the ESP advantage. It gives that single point of control, right? Where we can monitor, we can alert, we can notify from a single point. We can organize processes based on business events. Sounds like Agile to me. Visualize and design IT processes. That's what we do when we sit down and work with the application, face to face. So we rely too much on emails and phone calls when sometimes face-to-face is where you make the biggest difference, is where you talk to someone if it's possible. It's not always possible. If it is, take the opportunity to know your customer and know how we can help align your processes with where we're going. And reducing complexity to reduce errors. If we leave it to their own devices and get involved late, we are handed a process that's not as efficient as it could be. But getting involved allows us to scale down, make the processes easier, and execute more efficiently. It's all about problem management. Well, for every job failure that we have hooks. Now with ESP, we have greater capability with Ops and VS and alerting. That's been a growth point for us, where now if something happens, we can alert that there's a challenge going on to be addressed. It lowers your mean time to repair. So all of these things help us, and ESP brings those abilities to us. Whether it's monitoring for a file, or it's automatically restarting jobs. It's the ESP advantage that allows us, I mentioned earlier, to allow other resources to be used in other places. That's what we have to do. So other than this, you remember nothing else. When you see your UPS driver, you look at him, like I look at him now and say, wow, that's automation. That's workload automation. What's on our horizon? We're looking to standardize batch job processing across all platforms. You're looking for emerging technologies and innovations. One thing we drive in our group as well is innovation. Don't just do things just because it's been done before, but how can we do it better? We're in talks and discussions, and we're testing out a self-service portal. We're doing some testing, because a lot of what we do nowadays is request fulfillment. Do this, customer calls, do this, do that. We're looking to see if there's possibilities down the line for that as well. At the recent conference, I saw the tools. I saw iDash, and it's on the horizon for us to look at that tool. Imagine if you knew today that this challenge you have today caused me a problem tomorrow. And iDash provided that. I know it's on the D-Series today, and we're looking forward to get on our environment as well, so we can get our hands on it. It's get our hands dirty. Also, we're finishing up a project here, Enhanced Disaster Recovery Process. In the next few days, we're closing out on the process. As it was, it would take us 4 hours and 55 minutes. It was a disaster, a smoke and rubble disaster in my current building. To fail over to the alternate data center, it would take 4 hours and 55 minutes above the time it takes to restore the systems. What we've done is take that 4 hours and 55 minutes and reduce it down to 30 minutes. So savings of 4 hours and 25 minutes savings. Looking at the process and tearing it apart and getting your hands dirty to understand what do we really need? What is the process we're trying to do? That's the example I said before about looking at what was in place and seeing how we can make it better. And that's universal, not just to UPS, but to every company on this call today. Look at the current process. Don't stand pat, because, like they say, tomorrow's not even promised. So we make sure that today we understand where we are, but also understand where you need to be. Automated smart backup process, we're implementing today as well. We have a group that's, they need to stop their process because they're doing work on a server. Imagine, if you will, in order to do it in today's world, you have to open multiple changes to stop the multiple processes from running. Imagine, if you will, you have an ESP process out there that monitors it's a watcher process that monitors for the availability of that server. Should that server go unavailable, it'll automatically halt the process. So it's wisdom, a wise process to make sure that it doesn't result in jobs failing because the server is not available. It's looking at the playing field and see how you can make a difference. We're still standing pat on publishing automated best practices, and we can't do it by ourselves. We need all of you, and we need CA. Bring our minds together and build what's the best practice. How do you do it? Why is it best practice? How does it work for you? Is there a better way? So that's part of it. That's a big drive for 2017. By the end of this year, I would love to have presented at CA World 2017. Here you go. Here are the best practices for ESP, CA ESP in the various environments. These are the best practices. We recommend, if you have the D-Series, we recommend these best practices to help you advance your process. If you're using ESP, Workload Automation Edition, in the mainframe environment, these are the best practices to help you move your process along. But it calls for all of us in forums like this one to drive this effort. Increase speed and agility to the business process. As we mentioned, agile. We have to be ready for what the business wants, the business needs. Driving it forward, we have to be in tune with it. So it's understanding that the world is just bigger than us. Biggest things I've learned in my career so far is the world is bigger than Todd's four walls. Understand how big the world is and move on that. And also, a cross-data center for us, a cross-data center test environment, where I can test my failovers, my disaster recovery, fully in a test environment. Because all of us know that we can't create a man-made disaster and test our process because it'll impact your production process. You need an environment to do your proper testing. That's important. Where are we going? As the bullet points tell us, is we need to be in tune. We can't be that clunky model that goes forward step by step, taking months to implement. The business is moving fast. We're all of us, no matter what field you're in business, we're driving to make sure that the business, we keep up with the business without automation. What that means is processes run fluidly and quickly as the business demands. Be the first to market. Be the best to market. That's what we all want to do. And now we're at the question stage. Are there any questions from anyone?
Hey, thanks very much, Todd. For those of you who are on the phone line, please feel free to unmute yourself with #6 to ask your questions. If you are not on the phone line and using the audio broadcast, again, please just use the Q&A box in the WebEx itself. I don't think we have any outstanding questions right now.
Okay.
But we'll give everyone a minute to type in their questions if they have any. Also, as I mentioned at the top of the broadcast, I will be posting the replay for this session in the community, either later today or tomorrow morning. If you have any questions after the fact, you can feel free to ask them there, and I'll make sure that Todd sees the questions. I don't see any questions. Oh, there's one. You had a point in one of your slides about managed output. Can you talk about that?
Yes, what we do, and this is more for our distributed environment, when we set up our processes, we want to be able to, if our monitoring team sees a distributed process go down, we tell everyone as they come into ESP, we tell them two things. One, it's going to be a lot of work up front because we need documentation and we want to set it up correctly. And two, just make sure that we have your standard output, meaningful messages. So the output that we see, it'll bring value to you. I don't want to just have the people who monitor call you and say, hey, your job failed or there's an issue with your process. Can you log on and take a look? We want you to put meaningful messages in so that output provides something that means something to someone, whoever's on support. If there's any challenges, they can answer it correctly by seeing what's out there. So it's mainly, if you put a process out there, make sure that when it spews output, there's something meaningful out there, that it means something to you who are supporting that particular process or run. So anybody, any application who comes across you and wants to put their process on our systems, make sure that the output they provide us, and that you have the ability to tell them simply, put meaningful messages in your standard output. So when people look at them, they know what they took. When I call you, what is the quality? Doing it right the first time. I called you with the information that can be addressed in a timely fashion.
Oh, hold on, we have another question that just came in via the chat. Just curious, you mentioned automated rerun restart. In your environment, do you need buy-in from the end user to implement?
And the question is no. The answer is no. For every job that runs, we have a job folder, which gives information about every job. Also gives restart instructions. If the only instruction is restart the job, and we take it this way, automatic restart, if its only instruction is restart the job from the top, we do it automatically instead of using, because the user doesn't give any more instructions to that. The challenge comes is when they change the recovery procedures, then we have to make adjustments to the process. And for the automatic force complete, the same thing. If there's no other instruction other than force complete and let me know next business day, we take that out of the hands of having a person to do that job. We do it automatically and send out notification the next business day that that process was force completed. So it's using the tool we have to address how they document it, they want their job to be handled. Good question.
I don't see any other questions, but we'll give everyone another minute again. Oh, there's another one. What tool do you use to collect customer requests of scheduling and job changes? Do your customers find it cumbersome? We
currently use ChangeMan for we have two methods. One we use ChangeMan for if they have to stage and move data, we use ChangeMan for it. We also have a homegrown tool called CC Manager that we use for changes. It's not cumbersome. With our quality control in the back end, we found that it helps us learn more about our tools and that we use, but also by sharing it with our customers, it allows us to make them aware of what we need from them. So the changes have gotten better over the years because of it, but they also know that we're automatically engaged.
Great, thank you. Another question is whether or not you're going to be attending the summit in New York later this month.
Rick Romanowski will be in attendance.
Oh, Rick, sorry.
Yes, I'm sending Rick to New York to the summit. It's important that he goes.
All right, then we have a couple more questions. What is your plan for self-service? What kind of requests will you allow for self-service?
And when we talk about self-service, there's a lot of work in the background that has to go, and it's about authority as well. So it's us working with data security. What I'm looking at, my vision is a lot of the ad hoc requests that come in. I need to hold my job. We already have a process in place where through ChangeMan, talking through ESP, we call it the OTD, OTJ process, where they create a one-time doc text or one-time job. By opening a change package, it can automatically submit a one-time through ESP. But that's just one portion of it. That exists today. Well, there's requests to hold a job or to release a job. We're limited at that point. We're looking at what's possible. And through data security, we have to look at what grant certain rights to do that. So we look at all of that. So we're still in the infancy stage in that, but we're looking at it. And I'm looking for those quick hits, the holds and releases, so to speak. And we've created another homegrown product for us to do for our suspend and resume, but we did that internally. Then we're working through that as well.
Great. One more question I see. What is your approach to drive distributed workload into ESP, especially from other scheduling tools like Windows Task Scheduler / cron, or built-in tools from purchase products?
I'll give you a story that's a true story. We went after a application because they were doing their backups through Cron, and the world was good because it set it and forget it, right? And they were good because it allows them to be creative in what they do and not be held to a standard. So we had meetings with the application, and at the end of the day, they said, okay, don't call me, I'll call you. Because sometimes the challenge for a lot of us is we're driving up work, and the real driver is the drive down. So we took it to the next level. We went up to higher levels of management and tell them about the benefits of processing through ESP. If you have a backlist running using Cron, something happens to it, and on Friday, you know it's going to run, and when you come in Monday, it always runs well, and on Monday you walk in, life is good. But suppose when you set it, there's an issue, and the process doesn't run over the weekend, you find it Monday, you're in automatic recovery mode. So the selling point to the management was you want something that's monitored 24/7, centralized, where you can see what's going on, notified that there was an issue. ESP can provide that for you. It can even alert you if there's a challenge with it. Imagine if it's running longer. It normally runs 30 minutes. Now it's running 2 hours. You want to be you want to know on Monday it happened on Friday. You want to know as it happens. So in your environment, ESP provides that real-time process, alerting and notification, and it's being monitored. I'm going to say being monitored for crying out loud. It's being monitored. So that's where the difference is where we as a community provide service is the tools that we're provided with provide that real-time look at process, where you have a chance to modify your process with a record to know that, hey, I made this change this date and this is the reason why. You're notifying the business of challenges. ESP provides that for all of us, for our companies. And Cron and those other tools are cool, but it was the Wild West. It is the Wild West, and we can make a difference into a controlled environment and provide vision for the department.
Great, thanks, Todd. One other question. I think you mentioned there were 170 million jobs in total executed in 2016. Some jobs will run many times. How many unique jobs do you have?
We have, well, I'm looking at the total now. That number is 74,414 to be exact. With generic, and that's just generic jobs. So you take that, multiply it by let's be by 50, and that's where we are. So take that number, multiply 50, and that's where we are. Because the generic jobs, we have generic processes as well in there. So it's a high number.
All right, great, thank you. I don't see any other questions. Everyone, we do have a few more minutes left that we can chat. If there are any more questions you have, please feel free to enter them. All right, I don't see any more coming in, so I think we can wrap up, Todd. Thank you so much for your time, everybody, especially Todd. Gene, also thank you. Like I said, I'll get this replay published either later today or tomorrow, and keep an eye out for our announcement for the next session. Thanks very much, everybody, and have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you, Todd.